Hello, it's Nikki and welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad so many of you are loving the interviews and thank you so much for sharing, rating and reviewing. I so appreciate it. Anyway, I wanted to continue the conversation of success. So often we hear the extremes, don't we, of rags to riches, homeless to billionaire, sleeping on a random sofa to a blinged up palace. But what about the in-between bits? I know personally I have had many. How do you get from A to Z? But also, how do you get from A to B or F to M? In these mini episodes, I want to provide questions to ponder, ideas that might spark a brainstorm, or raise topics that might be a little bit uncomfortable in the moment, but they will support you to go to the next level of your business. As always, please come over to social media at Nikki Raby, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and breakthroughs. Hello, so welcome to a brand new episode. Today I'm talking about something that pops up for me and my clients very regularly. It's the topic of overwhelm. And I want to get this in perspective to begin with, that no matter how much help or how much privilege or how much support we may have, there may be times when overwhelm pops up to say hello. And it's been quite interesting sharing this. I shared it on Instagram over a series of stories and I had so many responses from people saying, oh my goodness, thank you for talking about this. I'm having a really tough time at the moment. I'm having a really difficult time in my business. I'm spinning loads of plates. I don't know what to focus on. And it's really interesting, actually, once we open up and we say, oh my goodness, sometimes these monster weeks or these monster situations pop up to say hello. And it can be really hard to know how to navigate them. That being said, I think it's really important also for me to recognize my privilege, the support that I have, the situation that I'm in, and I would never want to speak crassly about this or sound like I'm being overdramatic because I know there are people out there and people tell me this, and I see it on my squares, I see it on the news that people are dealing with far bigger things. So I just wanted to say that from the offset as well, that I am very sympathetic and empathetic and aware, actually, of what is going on outside my circle as well. But I do want to talk about it because I feel like it pops up in all kinds of different ways in our lives. And when it hits, it kind of makes you want to cry, or it can just feel really debilitating. It can make you spiral into a series of self-doubt moments. It makes you question everything. It stops you in your tracks from making progress. And overall, it's pretty rubbish. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit. And I suddenly had that moment last Monday where I had 2 washing machines in the middle of my floor in my kitchen. I had water all down the back of it. My mum had broken her arm, so I was in and out of the hospital. I had a scary midwife appointment. My son was ill. My partner was away. And all of these things can start to just pile up and you feel like you're being stretched in all kinds of directions. And also as well, you have to do the normal things. You have to make sure everybody's had dinner, that you're trying to get some rest, that you're getting back to people, that you're running a business. And sometimes it can feel like there's a lot of mental load. So today, I just wanted to break down some steps into 10 easy steps, making it really simple for you. I think this is what I crave when I'm overwhelmed, is a bit of simplicity, a bit of a formula to follow. And I'm not saying this is the exact way that you'll never ever feel overwhelmed again by any means, but sometimes it can just provide that framework that is going to be a little bit more anchoring, and you're just going to have a moment of clarity and hopefully you'll know what to do next. I think this is the moment that for me, when overwhelm hits, it feels like you're kind of in that spiral of, like, you know, when like bed knobs and broomsticks, when they put the knob on the bed and sounds very bizarre, put the knob on the bed and there's that kind of spirally bit where the sort of smoke goes up. That's kind of what overwhelm can feel like sometimes. So hopefully this will just bring you back into the present moment and help you to know what to do next. Number 1, notice what is going well. It can really be easy to focus on the negative when the negative keeps coming out to play. And what I mean by this is sometimes people go, oh, well, things come in threes and already 2 things have gone wrong. So it's almost like you're waiting or looking for that third thing to completely discombobulate you. However, if you can keep going back to that positive, oh my goodness, I mean, it's so hard sometimes, depending on, you know, the enormity of the overwhelm or the enormity of what you're dealing with. I don't just want to sound flippant in this, so please, if this just doesn't feel like a good fit for you, just ignore it and do what you need to do. But sometimes what I forget to do is notice the good stuff, the stuff where people go, I really love that, or I'd like to work with you, or I bought your course and it changed my life, or we want you to be part of this opportunity. It is like a muscle. It is like going to the gym for your mind and really focusing on that and being in that positive mindset. Because I know for me, when I'm overwhelmed, I don't necessarily sleep as well. Then I become more anxious and I get myself into this pattern of behavior. So I have to really watch myself and bring awareness to it because I'm familiar with it now. I know what happens. So if I can, focusing on the positive things, that is the best thing that I can do. And these don't have to be huge, life-changing situations. Sometimes it's like, my son said he really enjoyed his dinner. Win. And it had vegetables on. Excellent. Happy days. Step number 2, chip away. Again, going back to that feeling of things being foggy and spinning around, see if there's a way where you can even take a couple of minutes just to write things down, just to see them clearly in front of you so you know exactly what it is. Because otherwise you just go to that feeling place of like, I feel tired, I feel sad, I feel overwhelmed. And of course, all those feelings are really great things. But to be able to see them in front of you will help you take action and help you to see them for what they are and help you to move forward. So wherever you can, make a list, have a good look, see what's on there, and then break each individual task down into smaller tasks and see if there's a way that you can make it more logical rather than emotional. I know, again, that can be really hard, and I'm being really sensitive about what sort of topic this applies to, because you may be thinking like, as if I'm going to do that, Nikki, you know, I would never want to be disrespectful. But if it is in a similar sort of vein as to what I was describing, this could be a really good starting point for you. Number 3, be proactive and say what you mean. If there are people who you are waiting on or who are part of the overwhelm, but maybe not necessarily taking it as seriously as you need to kind of get a little bit bold. So, for example, the plumber, he's a bit, yeah, darling, I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, he's all a bit jokey. And when I'm in that overwhelmed space, I'm a bit like, I've got water all over my kitchen floor. This needs to get sorted. So instead of being a bit kind of cross and angry, I will say things like, Keith, what time are you coming over? I'll put the kettle on. What do you want, tea or coffee? And I try and make the situation really jolly and like he's actually going to commit. And for him, if you set those boundaries in place, if you get him to kind of be on board, you're more likely to make progress. So sometimes I know in overwhelm, it can be really hard to make decisions. It can be really hard to commit to things or to know where to start. Again, going back to your chipping away list, this may be a really good way of starting and looking at what the easy things that you can do are first, getting those sorted. And for me as well, like getting some things sorted such as the washing machine, it suddenly stopped me feeling so overwhelmed about the state of our house and things piling up and just things being everywhere and just having another washing machine in the middle of the kitchen floor. Number 4, do what is necessary. Sometimes we can be pulled in all directions and work on other people's schedule. When you're overwhelmed, when you've got more than a full plate, it's really important that you set some boundaries and put some things in place. So there may be something you really want to do. However, you might just need to say, I'd love to do this, but I just can't do it this week. Or don't necessarily fall into that place of feeling like you have to do things immediately. For the most part, things can wait. Things can just sort of fall into place, or things can be put back, or the schedule can be moved around. You just have to ask the questions. And as long as you're doing it in a really open, lovely, transparent way, it's probably going to work out really, really well. And sometimes that can just be sending a 2-line email saying, I'm so sorry. Or sometimes what I do is, if I feel like I'm behind on something, I like to send voice notes, because it just adds a personal touch. Because sometimes if your email comes across, or it comes across at the wrong moment or something like that, it can just make you sound a bit cold or maybe a bit chaotic. However, if somebody hears your voice, then it just adds that human touch to it. But never be afraid to say no, or not right now, or yes, but another time, and just really make it work for you. It's super important. Number 5, nurture what is already growing. This is really important, because in business, there will always be things for you to do. There will always be new ideas that pop into your head. However, sometimes you just can't do those things right now. And it's really important that you nurture what is growing, as in working with the clients, doing what you can, showing up as your best self, really looking at what already you've created and how you can utilize that, rather than convincing yourself that you have to start from scratch. It's very rare that you would actually have to do that, actually. So be really mindful when you're going down that trap of, and especially it can happen when you're overwhelmed and feeling a bit anxious. Sometimes that can dip into procrastination, and suddenly you start to doubt things and go, oh, actually, maybe I'm not good at this, this and this, and I need to think about starting something brand new. Please stop yourself wherever you can and really focus on what is already working really well. For example, I know that I have a book proposal that I want to write, and I'm not going to say any more apart from that, but it sounds very exciting. However, now is not the time, and sometimes people say, well, there'll never be a right time, but sometimes there can be a better time. Do you know what I mean? Like, there can just be a bit of time where you're not feeling completely exhausted. And certainly if I'm in that overwhelmed state, and I'm not now, like this week is looking exciting, it's looking really great, but sometimes you can look back on things and go, oh yeah, that felt really tough, that felt really hard. And I know I'm not in a great headspace when I'm feeling stretched and I'm not feeling creative. Number 7, eat. Eat good stuff whenever you can. It's really, really important. Sometimes we can feel like we're the last one, or we just grab whatever we can. And I know that I did this when I was a mum in the first couple of months, that I used to just like live on beans on toast, or stuff that didn't necessarily have a lot of nutritional value, because I was like, well, I haven't got time to like make this stir fry, or I'd convinced myself of all these things. And actually, I had to take that step back and go, well, I'm doing that for everybody else. Why am I not doing it for myself? So wherever you can, and my goodness, I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist or anything like that, but it's really important to take that step back sometimes and really concentrate on those basic things like eating. And even if you do a big old batch cook and you eat the same thing for a couple of nights, it's all good. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Insta-friendly. It just has to be friendly for you. Step number 7, rest. Oh my goodness. I know the temptation can be to stay up all night or finish work, or I don't know, just kind of end up doing random things. But I cannot reiterate enough how important sleep or rest is. And if you've got a full mega packed day, even taking 5 minutes to lie on your back and just take some big deep breaths, or do that shavasana thing that you do in yoga, get cozy and just give yourself a bit of time out. However, there are times where I just go, I've got to go to bed. I'm looking at my laptop. I'm not quite sure on what the next step is. And I have to be bold and go, no, that's it today. I've got to close it down. I've got to rest. I've got to come back to it in the morning when I'm feeling refreshed and hopefully in a position to be able to look at it clearly, logically, and get cracking on it. That is far more effective for me. Number 8, 5 minutes of something good. This can be something really basic. Having an extra long lunch, lying down on your bed and listening to a lovely piece of music, or reading a couple of pages, or listening to a podcast, or just walking around the block, even for 5 minutes. It can really break that flow and it can really break that funk that you might be in. So however tempting it can be to go, well, I can't do anything now until I have that spa day in 4 years' time, there are definitely things that you can do. And again, it's really important that you acknowledge these things and that you really check in with them, because small little action can actually make a huge difference to every area of your life. So really don't underestimate them. Number 9, this is a snapshot, and however tempting it can be to kind of go, oh my goodness, this is it for the rest of my life. I'm always going to feel like this. Again, like when you're starting a new job, or you become a parent, or something goes wrong in your business, you can be in that state of like, oh, right, okay, bring it on. This is what it's always going to be like, and have that kind of negative feel towards it. But try not to take any of these things too personally. These are external things that are coming towards you, and they're not necessarily who you are as a person and what you represent. And number 10, there always seems to be a lesson in things, doesn't there? Whether we like it or not, whether we want to hear it or not, or whether it's a lesson that keeps popping up again and again to remind us exactly what's going on. And I think this can be the case sometimes where it can be a positive thing. Sometimes you go, oh, I wasn't on that. I needed to be, and I needed to make more checks and balances towards that area of my life. Or sometimes we notice repeat behavior like, oh, yeah, I seem to do that a lot and actually it doesn't work for me. Or, oh, I should have said no and I didn't. So this is what happens when I don't say no. So sometimes it can feel really stark. Sometimes it can really make you want to go into victim mode immediately and like, oh, well, this is just the way that it happens. And this always happens to me. And I haven't got it figured out and everybody else has, which is simply not the case. Please don't let yourself go down that rabbit warren. It's really important. So those are the 10 things that I wanted to share today. Let me know what's going to work for you. Also, I've launched some brand new freebies, so please check the description box wherever you're listening, or you can go onto my website on the freebie section. I am excited to share some new workshops with you and just give you like loads of tools and tips and strategies to help you move forward. I know lots of people are in a real funk at the moment, so hopefully these will provide practical solutions to get you back on track. That's it for today. Please follow, link, subscribe, share, leave a review, all that sort of stuff. It really helps people discover the podcast. I'm really appreciative. Thank you so much. And I'll see you again very soon. Bye. Thank you so much for listening as always. If you do want to rate and review and subscribe over on iTunes or even share it with a friend, I would love it. Thank you so much for your support. If you want to find out more about me and how we can work together, please go to nikkiraby.com or connect with me across social media at Nikki Raby. I'll see you soon. Bye.